Break, boys. Break. Hey, it's a Sunday pregame show. We talking about sports. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for watching. We're already into week 5. We already have NFL action started. We're going to get into fantasy. We're going to get into best bets. And three-man weave once again. Roland Zamora in the house, looking crispy as always with the fresh bill. I mean, every time I see you, Roland, you either got a new bill, a fresh bill, a clean bill. I mean, what is it, bro?
Yeah,
How do you look
got
so
to change
fresh
it up
every
every
day?
pod. I mean, most of the time it's because my hair's not done or like I'm needing a haircut, but a lot of the time I just, I got to change it up with the lids. And I'm rocking the We Talking About Sports cap. You got the white one, Ben's rocking the black one. And like you said, we're enjoying some London football right now. Hopefully Josh Allen and the Bills can mount a little comeback here and avoid losing to the London Jaguars. So we'll see. Excited for another Sunday football weekend.
Hell yeah, man. We're already into week 5. Ben, you're rocking the jersey. Your team's on the TV. Tell us what's going on in the Bills game, man.
Yeah, very underwhelming first half. The Bills scored there right at the end, and you want to cheer, but you're playing against some of these guys in fantasy, and it makes it tough. But no, it's going to be a tight game. We'll probably be on here throughout the second half till it winds down. So this one's going to come down to the wire, I do think.
All right, man. We're already live on Facebook. If you guys want to go likes and share, we're doing that now. I just did it. Roland did it. And Ben already did it. So let's get everybody watching so we can get into the fantasy talk and so we can help each other out on the starts, on the sits, who's hurt, who's not. But before we do all that, while everybody gets in, takes all the washes their face, gets the lagañas out of their eyes and stuff like that. Let's just get into a little NFL chatter, boys. You want to start us off here, Roland? This is kind of like a little pyramid here of, different areas where certain teams are. Biggest surprise for you guys? Teams that are high shouldn't be there. And
looking at this, it's like the hierarchy of the NFL, kind of where we think each team stands, and as far as their tier and whatnot. As far as a surprise, I think it would be the teams that are up top. I do think that there's really just 3 teams up top that have proven themselves so far. It's the Chiefs, the Eagles, and the Niners. But other than that, there's some teams that would probably move down a little bit too. But that's kind of where I'm looking at the top, because I do think there is a gap between the top 3 and the rest of the league.
For sure, definitely. Ben, anything that sticks out to you, man? Your Bills are still up there on the top tier, but
yeah, if anything, I would just pick on that tier 2 with the Steelers being there. I think the Steelers probably belong on that tier 3 with the Commanders and the rest of those. Surprising to see the Bengals so low as well, but I mean, it's clear that Joe Burrow is not 100%, and they've been very underwhelming. I mean, they're in a little bit of trouble, some would say, sitting at 1-3 right now, in a game which Joe Burrow kind of felt forced to play because they were winless. So, I mean, I like seeing the Bills up there, but like I said, they can fall off that tier with a loss today and be a 2-loss team.
Yeah, I think the Pats even at tier 3 are a little high. I think they should probably be tier 4 or maybe even a little lower based off of what we've seen from them so far. And then the other team, just based off of what we've seen, that I probably put like in tier 2 is the team that's playing right now, even though they have a 4-point lead on the Buffalo Bills, the Jags. I think what we've seen, it's been a little underwhelming versus their preseason hype. A lot of people thought they were going to run away with the AFC South. Might be a little bit closer now that we see teams like the Texans and Titans in tier 2. I really think the beginning of the season has proven that the Jags still might be there with the rest of those teams.
The biggest surprise to me, man, is you don't see teams like the Lions up there, the Browns up there every year. So the Lions is a big surprise. They've only lost 1 game all year, and I'm kind of excited. It's cool for the NFL to see different teams. You don't want to see the same guys every single year. It turns into, the Warriors and the Cavs, or LeBron versus Curry. You don't want to see that every year. It's bad for the game. So I'm excited to see the Lions up there. I think that they get another win today. They are at home. And Ben, your ex, I bring it up every time. I don't want to say it. I don't want to admit it, but I'm kind of effing with the Texans, bro. I like the CJ Stroud move. The environment that he's bringing, the other young players. Damian Pierce last year had a good rookie year. I think that they're a young squad that's going to evolve, and they're not those old Texans, those David Carr Texans that who was that receiver? No, the Andre Johnson Texans anymore, man. They're young, they're fresh, and it's what kind of transition to baseball real quick. the Astros have been on a vibe in Houston for a long time. Now you have the Texans coming around. You don't live in Houston. You guys, live in pretty close, a lot closer than I do. But you think it's cool for Texas and for Houston overall to have the
Yeah.
football team come up with the baseball team now?
Yeah, and the basketball team's up next in a couple of months. The
It might
Rockets.
be a
No,
little
I
but
don't
bit
know about
longer.
all that.
I think the
longer,
biggest thing for them has been the coaching change, and I think that's been the biggest thing. That's going to be a big thing for the Rockets too. But that's for another podcast. But D'Amico Ryans is a culture changer. I think he's like set a tone, made a culture there in Houston. Right away, they're able to go out and get their quarterback. We talking about sports. We had him ranked as the #1 quarterback going into the draft. And I think that they lucked out that that they didn't get Young. So I like what they're doing, and they have weapons. They have Nico Collins, they have Tank Dell. You've got Robert Woods, the veteran, to just kind of keep the chains moving. You've got Damian Pierce. You've got Dalton Schultz at tight end. So yeah, they've got something they're building down there. They just need Will Anderson to really set a tone and kind of make a name for himself as a rookie that they invested a lot in getting, because they gave away next year's first-round pick to move up and get Will Anderson.
What do you think about the disagreement in the chat here, Roland? We have
I was just going to say,
saying,
I'm not saying to like pump the brakes. I like CJ Stroud. Obviously, Justin and we had him as #1 in the preseason rankings for the quarterbacks going into the draft. But I would just say they have something brewing. Like, they're not all the way back. They have something brewing. I do think CJ Stroud has probably outperformed even the people who were on him, their expectations. He's coming out and proving that, not a lot of rookie quarterbacks come out and throw 12 or how many ever touchdowns he's thrown and 0 interceptions. Like, he's in rare air. Like, he's with the Andrew Lucks of the world, of guys who have come out onto the league on fire and just, lit it up. So the Texans right now are going as far as CJ Stroud is going to take them. Like Ben said, they got weapons. Nico Collins, we'll talk about him a little bit later. We talked about Tank Dell. They had Damian Pierce last year, even though it's not been so good for him as of late. But Texans have something brewing. Also, what helps them is they're in the AFC South. So they're going to play a lot of meaningful games, I think, throughout the year. CJ Stroud is going to continue to mature, and it's going to be a competitive division. That's all that I'm saying. So AFC South, they might be back a little bit sooner than people expected, and that's because CJ Stroud is playing. So they have something brewing. Let's see what happens the rest of the year, because I do think them being in the AFC South, it makes it live, because I talked about it with the tier talk. The Jags, they're not all that. They're good. Don't get me wrong. They probably have the best roster when you look at it. Trevor Lawrence, #1 pick. They got Ridley. Everyone was talking about it along with their other weapons. But I see the love, and I understand it for what's going on in Houston. So at 2-2, still got a lot to prove. But hey, like Harden used to do with that step back three, there's something cooking. They got something cooking, and I like it. So let's go CJ Stroud. I'm a fan.
Yep, I like it. All right, what we got next, man? I don't know if it's me. I might be cutting off, but if I do, Roland, just keep it rolling.
Yeah, it's a bye-week blues, like Ron talked about on Tuesday and we talked about last week. We've been preparing for this week for a little while. So here are the teams again: Browns, Chargers, Seahawks, Bucks. Herbert here pictured probably the biggest name that's going to be sitting out this week with the hot start that he's been off to as a quarterback. Any other names that you guys want to talk about real quick?
Just, I know Keenan Allen owners also are going to be hurting, as that's a product of Herbert. I'm somebody dealing with Herbert out in several leagues, so went to guys like Dobbs and, having to play the bye week. But I know, with Mike Evans, guys, this is an interesting one. I know people who have gotten trades where they're receiving Mike Evans. We did see him leave the game. He is on a bye week. Is this a time to maybe buy low on Mike Evans, or are you all shying away from somebody like Mike Evans who's a little hampered but on a bye week?
Take it, Roland.
What was that question again, Ben? I'm sorry, I was looking at the
Mike Evans, Roland, who is on a bye week. He's been somebody who's been like a very surprising fantasy football wide receiver this year.
I'd probably try and trade Mike Evans right now, although it's kind of hard to say that he's going to fall off, because he's just proven time and time again to have 1,000-yard years, unless it's been injury, like you just alluded to right now, which the bye week should help him out a little bit. if I would say now's the time, because he might come back and play after the bye, not be 100%, have a little bit of a bust game, if you will, and it might be harder for you to get him off then. So if you're looking to trade, I'd say now's the time. And
but you're not looking to pick him up?
And that's what I was about to say. And I think he's a viable trade target. If you need receiver help, he's still the number one target. You know, he's still got Chris Godwin there, but him and Baker Mayfield have a good connection. And again, like I said, Mike Evans, 1,000-yard receiving year after 1,000-yard receiving year, time and time again. So kind of hard to pass up on him. But I wouldn't mind adding him to my roster.
I also wouldn't mind, because it's a contract year. We saw that they weren't able to agree to terms for him to stay with the Bucs. So he doesn't want to, kind of end his season on an injury or anything like that. He's going to want to get better, play through it, and put up some good stats. So I also think that I would be looking to maybe buy low on Mike Evans right now while he's on a bye week and, a little injury talk on him.
X factor for Mike Evans for me is the guy throwing him the ball. Baker Mayfield, I mean, you're going to say, Ron, he had Tom Brady, man. What are you talking about? But Baker Mayfield is a little bit more of a gunslinger. There's that term again. He can run out of the pocket and he creates plays. Mike Evans is your automatic flex of the week every single time he's on the field, just because he's Mr. Consistency. I would definitely be looking for Mike Evans if I can get him in a trade. First and foremost, so thanks to everybody that's already watching, man. Noe's in the chat. Gene's in the chat. His Longhorns lost. Apologize about that, Gene, but it's NFL.
Gene's an OU fan. He's an
OU he is?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Weird.
I got it wrong. Shit. Gene, talk all the smack you want, because Big Ben Diesel down there is throwing up the hooks every single week. Gene's in the chat. I saw Martin in the chat. Fonz and Edgar having a little debate in the chat, which is really cool, about the Texans. So appreciate everybody watching, man. And let's just keep it moving, man. Let's go, baby.
The other thing that we have to account for on top of the bye weeks are the injuries, and that's what we're about to talk about right now. So there's multiple things you have to account for in managed leagues. We're going to look at these injuries. Some of these names have been on there a little while, lingering, but T. Higgins injured, Javonte Williams, questionable game time decision. We talked about Jaleel McLaughlin as one of the hot ads, the waiver wire ad. So I'm going to stop there, throw it to you guys. Is Javonte Williams being a game-time decision scaring you off of throwing him into your lineup? Or if you spent the fab, you need the help at running back, you're just going to throw him in and hope for the best?
Man, I'm putting all the brakes on Javonte Williams. One, because Russ is throwing the rock around. That's the way that Denver team is going to win, by throwing the ball. He hasn't performed well regardless of his start and being the RB1 there in Denver. You have this young kid, McLaughlin, who's hungry. He performed very well last year. And if you're Sean Payton, you're looking for anything that you can do to give your team a spark. And if he means putting in the young guy, aka the Dolphins putting in Ashawn, then you do it. You pull the trigger. Javonte Williams is not getting anywhere near my roster.
No, I meant.
He was talking about your boy that you picked up, or you want him to start.
Are you ready to throw McLaughlin? You're throwing him in. You're not pumping the brakes on it because you're worried about Williams playing. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I'm looking.
It was a good explanation.
Yeah, I'm looking at my roster, man, and I'm making sure that if I am going to start McLaughlin, that it's going to be where I really, really need a flex play. Other than that, he's chilling on my bench for 1 week just to make sure that the hype is real.
What about you, Ben?
Stephon
are you
Diggs is always open, bro. Stephon Diggs is always open, bro. I don't really like McLaughlin, or I'm sorry, I don't know exactly how to say his name. I don't like the matchup against the Jets. I think the Jets are taking this game pretty personally because of what Sean Payton said about Hackett and whatnot, and that defense is just good in general. So with Javonte Williams as a game time, that really doesn't scare me because he hasn't looked good, and I don't know if they're going to be wanting to push him out there. He is coming back from injury, right, last year, so I don't know how much they want to push this guy while he's hampered up. So if you need to start him because you have, maybe somebody like, Eckler or Joshua Kelly on bye, or, White from the Bucs, or Kenneth Walker, if you have to plug him in as a flex,
there's worse things you can do.
There is worse things you could do. So it's not like I'm not completely out, but it's got to be a desperate move.
For sure. So, let me ask you this is a crazy situation, but I mean, I just want to ask it because it plays into these next things with Jonathan Taylor, which we'll save for the next slide. But Aaron Jones, we see Noe's asking about Aaron Jones or Kamara. Yeah. Aaron Jones, hammy, been lingering, questionable, Monday Night Football. So are you making that decision like on McLaughlin now?
To wait, right? To
wait
till
or are you
Monday?
Waiting till Monday? Like it's one of those those situations where you can get screwed if you wait and Aaron Jones is out, kind of a deal.
Yeah, and then then maybe your option is AJ Dillon if he's out there. I've seen people dropping him. A name that was brought up in our We Need to Cut It segment, but yeah, I'm probably starting the Broncos running back instead of waiting for Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones has a pretty decent matchup against the Raiders, but you just can't leave it up to chance. You can't pivot many ways if Aaron Jones doesn't play, and you just can't risk that. So you want to hope for maybe 8 to 10 points, from this Broncos running back and just go ahead and place him in there.
I want to get to the Lions real quick since Martin is with us. You have a lot of injuries there. You have Gibbs, who is doubtful, if not pretty much ruled out. Amon-Ra St. Brown also here.
They're both out.
So they're both out. And then you have Josh Reynolds, questionable. And we talked about this other player for the Lions in our waiver pickup, which is Jameson Williams. He came back early from the gambling suspension. So if you're the Lions and you're thinking that you're at home and you're going to win, but you have all these players out, one, how does it affect how you bet the game? And two, how does it affect your fantasy status here? Oh, Gene, there you go. Laporta going to show out.
With fantasy, you got to think some of these other players are going to step up. We'll talk about it later with Montgomery. He's obviously been a benefactor, even with Gibbs on the field or active. Montgomery's still been eating, but got to look at him. And then betting it does give me a little bit of worry, especially we'll talk about Survivor at the end of the podcast, but the Lions are still a 9.5-point favorite. So like betting wise, I still think they're good enough to beat the Panthers. The Panthers have been probably the worst team in the league. I think they might end up 0-6 before they win a game because they got another tough game after the Lions after this. So yeah, I'm not too worried betting wise. Fantasy, you gotta adjust. You gotta throw in your other options, especially with these two guys being out. And probably though, I'll backtrack a little bit. Probably makes the decision for Gibbs owners a little bit easier because I know he spent a lot of draft capital on him at the 3rd round draft pick, and you're thinking, do I put this guy in or not? But now that he's out, you're like, all right, let me just throw him away, put him on the bench, and then you just move on. So it makes that decision a lot easier. I will say that.
Ben, Edgar's got a question. Burrow or Dak? Really disappointed with how Burrow has been playing. And then Fonz came out and responded, Dak's playing the second best defense, but Burrow is playing like the emoji that he just put up. So what do you do here, Ben?
Yeah, that's what makes it tough because you technically want to stay away from matchups against the San Francisco 49ers unless, you absolutely have to play those guys. Guys like Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, the guys that you're just not going to bench. But here in this case, Dak is a guy that you took really late. Dak really hasn't lit it up. I think he's had one decent game in there, but for the most part, that defense has been putting up a lot of points to where they're kind of just time managing and, really it doesn't seem like playing to really go put points on the board. So it does make this tough. I think I would still go Burrow here just based off that matchup. The 49ers are favored in that game as well against the Cowboys. And it just, aside from CeeDee Lamb and a little bit of each receiver sprinkled in, the tight end Ferguson did have a pretty big week last week. He was somebody who was getting picked up this as well on the waiver, but the Dallas defense really isn't going to pop on you and hurt you, in huge explosive plays. So I would shy away from Dak and I would still go Burrow.
Nice. All right, let's keep it moving. Who we got next? Well, then go ahead.
Shoot, the next one's on Ramondre Stevenson's questionable, but I just wanted to touch on the Dak and Burrow question real quick, just because Burrow, I would probably still lean towards him because San Francisco is such a tough matchup, and Dak really hasn't played well against San Francisco historically, if you include the playoff stuff. But it's hard to even start Burrow because he really hasn't looked that good. I know he had a decent performance against the Rams, which I'll say going against the Cardinals, I don't know if the Cardinals have the pass rush to scare Burrow as much, but he's pretty much a sitting duck back there. He can't move. The calf obviously bothers him. Anytime he tries to get out of the pocket, it looks like he's going to pull up. So it's kind of you're in catch-22 situation there. It's tough. So But I think the Cardinals is a decent enough matchup to where you got to go Burrow. You got to go Burrow there. So
Derek Carr, Barkley, Aaron Jones, Freiermuth, Elijah Mitchell, and Treylon Burks. Not a lot of fantasy weight there, except obviously for Barkley. That just rounds up the injury report. Anything else that you guys have, Ben? What were you going to say, man?
Fonz did comment and say that Barkley has officially been ruled out. So
okay,
I think
there we go.
Yeah, I think people are going to be plugging Matt Breida into those flex spots, maybe RB2 spots again this coming week. He did.
I feel bad for them.
No, I mean last week he at least scraped double digits. So yeah, with Barkley out again, I mean Barkley owners. This is kind of why Barkley is just a name that's not on my draft board. I mean, I know you got to feel for the guys, you got to empathize with them because they're injured, but this is a reason that Barkley is never an option on my draft board, man. It just lingers. It lingers.
Who do we got next, brother?
Let's go.
We got the cuffs at the start.
We talked about it a little bit earlier. We alluded to it with Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor and Kupp both make their returns this week. Kupp had the hamstring that lingered, put him on IR. He's making his return. We all know about Puka Nacua. We all know about guys like Kyren. We know about Tutu Atwell, guys who've been eating without Cooper Kupp there, who's been the guy in LA the past couple of years. And then Jonathan Taylor comes back with a new contract, not injury related, just was on the PUP list because he was at odds with the team. He comes back. They say he's on a snap count. So we'll talk about Cooper Kupp first because I think it's a little bit easier. Are you guys plugging him in? Talk about if you're scared about the other players as well. What do you think about Cooper Kupp coming back?
I think this is a perfect time for him to come back with the bye week starting and you having to fill spots instead of maybe. Are you going to want to play a guy like George Pickens or Cooper Kupp? I think you're going to want to play Cooper Kupp. Yeah, but those are the decisions that people are having to deal with right now. Maybe a Zay Flowers or a Cooper Kupp. I still think you go Cooper Kupp in that scenario.
Yeah, I think Cooper Kupp is an auto start over pretty much anybody. Like you just put him in. I think the bigger question is are you scared of Puka Nacua now, or do you think Puka is still startable as like a wide receiver 2 or flex?
He's definitely still startable. I think that the connection is obvious between him and Stafford. So why are they just going to stop feeding a guy the ball who's made the offense effective?
He's the one who was most filling into the Cooper Kupp role.
I understand, but I think this is where Tutu Atwell gets. I know that he has a different role, but I think that the targets, they're still going to be going to Puka. I don't see 30-point games for Puka anymore. I don't. I'll tell you that. But I see a 15 to 20-point, range for Puka still. And that's because he scored his first touchdown in that overtime win. So he had just been doing it with work. I think that you're still okay with Puka. I think he's a flex wide receiver 2 till we see otherwise.
So don't be scared, guys. Puka is good to go. Ron, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, guys, they've been on your roster. You wasted high draft picks for these guys. I mean, maybe not Jonathan Taylor, but still, I mean, these are guys that you have them on your IR spot on your fantasy. You check that roster every week, and there they are, and you're just waiting. You're waiting for the cuffs to come off. This is why it's called cuffing season. The cuffing season is over. You're going to put all your chips on the table. And if you lose your chips with Cooper Kupp and Jonathan Taylor in your starting lineup, you live with it. They're auto starts. I think you automatically put them in. And, a perfect example here with Louis. He's like, Jonathan Taylor at the flex this week. Should I put him in or should I not? He hasn't getting great production from his flex position right there. I mean, if you're Louis, what do? I mean, you automatically throw in Jonathan Taylor. These are guys, it's week 1 for them pretty much. I think you auto start them. It's not even a question about it.
Yeah, Roland, do you feel like Puka's gonna fall off a little?
No. I thought you covered it. That's why I didn't offer much feedback because I do agree. I think Puka's good. I think the guys who are gonna maybe fall off, it's gonna be between Tutu and Van Jefferson. I think Tutu's better than Van Jefferson. I think it should be Kupp, Puka, and Tutu. I think those should be the 3 guys. Those are the 3 best receivers on the team, and then Kyren Williams at running back. The Rams are pretty good. So I think they're all safe, or Puka's safe right now for sure. The JT thing, the only reason why I mentioned it on the injury report, does hearing stuff like snap count scare you, or are you still gonna throw him in game 1? Because like Ron said, he's a beast. You might be in a situation like Louis. You just might need that jolt. He might score a touchdown in the red zone, even though he's on a snap count.
Yeah.
Ben, does that scare you, the whole snap
If
count talk, or you're
with
just going to put him in because
And
he's JT?
no snap count definitely scares me. I
they're
still have
also
to
playing
play
the
him.
Titans. They're also playing the
The
Titans.
Titans
Yeah,
do give up the run
Pretty.
a little bit. Yeah.
but it is a division matchup. It's tough, and also the Colts around the goal line lately. I mean, or right now to start the season, they've been letting Richardson get those carries to get those touchdowns. Now that might be because maybe they don't have the best goal line back, and that's where Jonathan Taylor comes in. But Lou says I haven't been getting much production from my flex. If you have the opportunity to wait at least 1 week to just at least see how it plays out, they did pay the guy. That's good news, right? So if
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
can wait, I would wait. If you're like Lou and you say, I haven't been getting much from that position, I'd plug him in because I do see maybe 1 or 2 goal line looks for him. So I think that he can score. So maybe like 10 points, I'd be happy with from him. But if he's on a snap count and they fall behind, and it could also be really ugly. That's
Yeah.
why I
Yeah.
wait if I could.
Yeah, if you have other options, maybe wait it off a week. But if you're in Louis' situation, let's plug and play. Hopefully, JT gets a touchdown. And, shout out Jim Irsay must have had a good day, giving him that
Yeah.
contract,
Well,
3 for
from
I was
42.
surprised to see
from
that they
guys
came to a deal.
from guys who have been on your bench to guys who you automatically need to put in your roster. Let's switch over to the must start. These are y'all's two. I believe that should be the next one, right?
No, it's a waiver wire. Just
Oh,
just
okay,
to
cool. Right
recap
on. All right.
a little bit. I think you had it on there.
Yeah, man. Let me
We
go ahead
already
and
had
recap this real quick.
2 of the 5 guys. Howell and Thomas had a good week. We talked about McLaughlin, Dobbs. Ben talked about starting, and then Jameson Williams. We're talking about Amon-Ra St. Brown and Gibbs both being out. They also said they were going to bring them back a little bit. So
For
we'll
sure.
see. Anything else to add on this before we get to the must starts and flex?
Yeah, this is I wanted to bring this up at the middle of the show because guys, besides doing shows on Sunday, we do a show every single Tuesday. So if you don't catch us on Sunday, catch us on Tuesday because we have been doing the waiver wire and we've been pretty spot on. 2 guys that we picked here, blew up for 24 points and 20 points. Let's see how the rest of our waiver wire does. So join us on Tuesdays also because we bring you the waiver wire show if you can't catch us on Sunday.
There we go. All right, well, let's get. Oh, and then we talked about you need to cut it. Here's some guys are already
Another
going.
thing too. Yeah.
Yeah, we
All
might
right.
revisit that a little more next week.
Yeah, you guys talked about it. Flex of the week. You guys gave out 3 guys last week.
Just a
last
recap
Sunday,
from last
2
week.
of them had pretty good performances. Then you had Miles Sanders against the Vikings, not so good with 5 points. But anything you guys want to talk about on these 2 since you guys gave them out last week?
No, Miles Sanders. This is why we
Just
apologize to Edgar
Edgar
on
one more
Tuesday.
time.
Yeah, this is why we apologize to Edgar on Tuesday because Miles Sanders was the only one that laid a dud. We can live with 11, right? Obviously, you love to see the 20, but Miles Sanders just dud, man.
I think Sanders too is a guy that you might start looking to put on your bench just because the Panthers suck. And
for somebody that needs running back,
opportunity.
or just trade him for somebody who needs running backs and he's a starter. And
Markey.
I traded him this week for Tank Dell in a league.
Who the hell did that, bro?
They offered me the trade. They said Tank Dell for Miles Sanders. I was like, you know what? Yeah.
Probably just needed running back
dog. That is auto, bro. All right.
Let's
so
get
who we
to
got
the
this week for the
flexes
flexes of the week? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have Nico Collins. Yeah, we have Breece Hall, Hollywood Brown, and Nico Collins. Roland's choice was Nico Collins. We'll get to Roland right now. But let's start off with Breece Hall. He's projected at 13 points this week versus Denver. And that's the key word there, versus Denver. It's like versus Chicago. That Denver defense is trash. Everybody knows they got put up 70 on by the Dolphins. And the thing here is that the coach came out and said his limited work period is over. I like him as a flex of the week because the Jets had that great performance last week where, everybody was hating on, Wilson, and then everybody, fell in love with him. So I think they have a lot of momentum going into this week. Hey, he was getting a lot of
nobody in love with him, but
he was getting, dude. The defensive end came out on national television and said, hey, respect the guy. Put some respect on his name, So
his teammates were finally getting along with him is what you meant.
The limited talk for Breece Hall is over. I think that the backup running back, I don't know why I'm going blank right here.
It's Cook.
Cook. Yeah, I think that has not worked out for them at all. I think you got to load up on Breece Hall this week, just like the Jets should do. Hollywood Brown, I just came across this guy, bro, because I went into production receivers. 17, 17, and 16 in his last 3 weeks, because you guys had brought up that the Cardinals and Dobbs are a decent squad over there. James Conner is another running back who's doing great things. He's projected at 14 points versus the Bengals defense, who we know hasn't been great either. So Breece Hall and Hollywood Brown, and Roland cap us off with yours. And Ben, you can let us know what you think of our waiver wire or our flex of the week.
Yeah, I want to comment on the other two as well, but Nico Collins, just wanted to throw him up here, just out of respect of all the weapons that the Texans have. They have Tank Dell. We obviously talked about CJ Stroud, but Nico Collins also is proven to have a lot of rapport with CJ Stroud. I think week 3 was the only week that he had less than 7 targets. He had 7, 9 in week 2. And then 9 again in week 4, where he exploded and had a pretty good performance. Not calling for another one of those performances, but I do think against Atlanta, he should find some success. Him and Stroud have some good rapport, and it's going to be a good game script. I don't think it's going to be one of those games where they're running the ball. They haven't proven to do that. So yeah, definitely like Nico Collins, and I like Hollywood Brown a lot, and Breece Hall. I've heard a lot of love for him this week. I want to believe it. I want to see it. And I do think that Zach Wilson proved a little bit against the Chiefs, but it's one of those
another
things
believer right there
where I need to see it again. It's still Zach Wilson. He is going on the road. This is a highly contested game. You are right. The Broncos defense hasn't been that good. But we'll see you never know what kind of game you're going to get. So that's why I just can't automatically throw him in, but I see the love, because he's a beast, and he almost had a monster game against the Chiefs. Breece Hall did, had it not been for a couple of last minute tackles. But yeah, I definitely like Hollywood Brown and Nico Collins, and Breece Hall. I think he can hit too.
Ben, Diego said, I'm starting Nico today because he has Barkley, Higgins, and DK and Ford. So 3 out of those 4 guys are out. Barkley, Higgins, and Ford is out.
They're all out.
Yeah, they all are. So how do you feel about Diego, and how do you feel about our flexes of the week here?
That's a good option to have, Diego, with all those guys out. I do feel for you having all of them out, but Nico Collins is a pretty good option. He's proven to at least be wide receiver 2 or an every week flex, like Roland said, aside from that 1 week that he had. I am in on the Breece Hall train. Pause. I automatically put him into my starting lineup this week. It's a league that I have Eckler in, and I've just been plugging in Kelly, and I've been plugging in Kelly over Breece Hall the last couple of weeks. That's what I thought of Breece Hall's situation, and what I thought of the possibility of Kelly. But I dropped Kelly already, expecting Eckler back. But Breece Hall, automatic plug into the lineup. I'm hoping for 10 points. I think that they're going to get James Cook, out of there, or Dalvin Cook, not James Cook. Dalvin Cook out of there. So yeah, Breece Hall, start him this week, boys. Let's go on a ride.
Yeah. The squad rides are always the best rides. Breida, Diego said another Breida comment here. Flexing Breida, this is crazy. That's what I said, but Ben said that it ain't too bad of a play, Diego, because he did scratch and get double digits last week.
Yeah, he's proven to be a good guy in the passing game too, and there's nobody else there with Barkley out, so you got to think Breida's going to get every single opportunity. So yeah, good luck, Diego.
Playing the Dolphins, they're going to have to be going up and down the field, so he should get at least 5 points off of receptions.
Okay, I like it. What do we got next, man?
The Bills are in the 4th quarter, down. No one has scored in the second half. It's 11-7. Ben sweating over there a little bit. I see it.
Got to hold to a field goal here and just be down 7 and hope to tie the game. But yeah, it's not looking good, boys.
All right. Well, we talked about flexes of the week. These are the must starts. Ben, give us your guy here. What are we talking about?
Yeah, this is somebody who obviously was being drafted way lower than Gibbs was prior to the season. We've been hoping for Gibbs. He was drafted around where Miles Sanders was drafted at, maybe even later. But so that's why I think that I'm putting him here, because I don't think that it's as obvious of an every week start. We know that he had that huge week, prior to the injury, and a lot of people had him on the bench that week. So I think this week has another big. There's a lot of potential this week with the matchup that they have, and Gibbs being out, Amon-Ra being out. You got to think they're going to want to establish a run. We've seen them hand the ball off to Montgomery 20 times with Gibbs there. So without Gibbs there, I'm expecting, 25 plus carries for him. And I think that he has a good possibility of finishing as a top 5 running back this week.
69 carries, 262 yards, and 5 TDs on the season for Montgomery at home versus the Panthers today, actually.
Yeah. So some easy goal line looks. I think it's going to be the Laporta and Montgomery show for Detroit today.
All right.
Yeah, my
Edgar
pickup
says
here
he sees you.
is
You're a Stroud boy.
Just to play on the quarterback bye weeks. We got some big names out. I think CJ Stroud automatic start here. And even if you're not in one of those situations and you might have a quarterback who's been underperforming, CJ Stroud is a great start this week against the Falcons. He's had nothing but 20-point and up performances since week 2. So I think you can feel pretty safe about CJ Stroud. And to answer Fonz's question,
hold on, Roland. Roland, you caught a stray, dog. You just caught a stray right now from Fonz.
But Roland doesn't make the lines. He's the favorite in Vegas.
It's an ongoing conversation between me and Fonz. He likes to say that Dak Prescott is better than Josh Allen. I just correct him and say that that's not the case.
Wow.
So and then I always bring up Allen. Right now he is the MVP favorite as of today. So we'll see what happens after this Sunday. Obviously not the best performance. I do agree with where Fonz is coming from here, but not so much of a stray, but it's cool. I appreciate it though.
I like
CJ Stroud this week.
Hey Fonz, I like you on the show, bro, because
he keeps everybody on his toes.
Yeah, I like that, Fonz. But
he's wrong most of the time, but he keeps everybody on their toes.
MVP sprinkle right here, you heard it here first, is nobody showing love to CMC, and he's having a crazy year. It's always quarterback, of course. I get it, but if these quarterbacks like a Josh Allen's going to keep having this roller coaster of a year, taking some L's, you have a running back on an undefeated 49er squad who is scoring 4 touchdowns a game and looking like, the next coming of I don't know, maybe
like a fantasy
where the greatest running back ever is.
Like.
Yeah, exactly. CMC, I don't know what the odds are, but why not go? Why not have to throw a little
I don't know what you guys
MVP.
What you guys think about this, but I do agree, Bron. I think CMC, I don't see why not. It's obvious. Like I know the 49ers are still a beast squad without him. And it looks like the Bills got on that.
Fumble Lawrence. Gene called it here too.
What were
we were talking about CMC, and after CMC, let's get to Louis' question.
I know he's a running back, but it's obvious that he is a monster. But I have a play on him that I took at the beginning of the year. It's like plus 1,400 to win Offensive Player of the Year.
I love it.
My question is, do you think
money,
what I'm saying is, do you think he's playing too good to be Offensive Player of the Year, and like he's in the MVP conversation?
No, Roland, you're in a perfect spot because he's in the MVP conversation, but they never give running backs that award. So what do they have to do? Give him the consolation.
I know, but he should be MVP to Ron's point. I do see it because I would
in the convo.
Do you
give
him both? Do you give them both? Is there a way to get both, or there's no way they do both? Like giving somebody back-to-back Heismans?
Nah,
is that just like frowned upon? It just doesn't.
I think they give it to somebody else. There's a good question here. Lamar Jackson or CJ Stroud? Lamar Jackson playing against the Steelers, CJ Stroud against the Falcons. Ben, do you have enough in you to put CJ Stroud over Lamar? Or are you still putting in Lamar against Pitt?
Lamar's been getting rushing touchdowns because their running backs are all just out and Gus Edwards sucks. So I would still start Lamar just based off where I draft him. I know that the Steelers' only chance is to make it an ugly-ass game in which they tend to do against Lamar. This has like 17-14 written all over it. Mm-hmm. But you got to hope, I think he'll get you 18, 20 points. CJ Stroud, on the other hand, I like him, but you drafted Lamar there. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's a safer floor for Lamar Jackson than it is for Stroud.
I was going to take that angle here is that you spend a good draft slot on Lamar, and he hasn't.
Not only that, but Lamar's like God to Lou también. Like he's a huge Ravens fan. like Lamar's MVP every year, so I can't believe we're getting this question, Lou.
Damn, is that true, Lou? Let us know in the chat. I would ride Lamar, man. Pause. I would definitely go with him. It is the Steelers division game, like Ben said, in Pittsburgh, but the rushing touchdowns are there, and he's been low key slinging it. He hit Edwards. I mean, I'm sorry, not Edwards. He hit Damn, I'm like terrible with names today. He had Andrews like on this dime last week, which was out of nowhere. So he's still slinging it. I like his who's that rookie receiver there? I think Zay Flowers. I think that he has a game today. Zay Flowers should be in your lineup today too. I think he balls out. And division game, and I always think that the Steelers are great defensively, right? You think, the Watt and Minka, but if they blitz you and you don't contain or that secondary right now is just terrible. Diego, if you're still in the chat, I know that secondary for Pittsburgh has been giving you fits. So I think that Lamar has a great passing game today as well on top of the running game. I think you start him over CJ Stroud.
Yeah, it's a tough one for me, but I would still go Lamar. I'm gonna make it a podcast.
Unanimous
consensus. Yeah,
Brees Hall and Lamar. We'll see how they do this week. But let's wrap up the show. We're at 40 minutes, going strong at 11:03 p.m. Everybody that's watching, man, we really appreciate the love. Throw the like, throw the subscribe, throw the share. And as you guys, or as Roland mentioned, we are rocking the merch. I got the Clubhouse Classic. You walk into the clubhouse at the golf course, rocking the classic white, with the tall little frame up here. And then you got the Sundowner when you go play late at night, which Roland and Ben have on. The weather's been good for some golf. The Sundowner action right now in Texas is going to be looking great. The code is up there, WTBS.store. Noe said he was going to go. I haven't seen your order come in, Noe. I'm calling you out. Scan it. Check us out, WTBS.store. And just a little breaking news. Winter's coming up. I got a jacket on. Roland has a hoodie. We're probably going to come out with some winter merch, so be on the lookout for that. It will drop soon for some nice Christmas gifts and, some Thanksgiving weather.
Nice. Let's get into these bets.
Yeah, let's do it.
What do you got?
I'll start off with my three. Like Edgar says, every week he says I'm throwing out hints that I'm closer and closer to being fully back on the Texans. Taking the Texans +2. This one did open up at Texans +3, went down to 1. Now it's back at 2. That's where it settled down. But I think that they're live to win. I mean, we've talked about how bad Ritter is on the podcast for the Falcons. Love Bijan, but the Texans should be able to put up enough points to beat the Falcons outright. I also like the Eagles -4. Just a crazy line. I mean, the what we were talking about for the Rams coming into the season.
Something happened in the Bills game.
Oh my God.
He was down. So it was a hell of a punt down to the 5-yard line, but that was an interception. I'm taking the Eagles -4 against the Rams. I just think that they're the much superior team. Yes, the Rams have been playing good, but the Eagles will have enough to cover this game. Eagles -4. And then at night, Roland alluded to Dak hasn't had a good history against the Niners. I'm rolling with the Niners. I think that they're just going to be too physical for the Cowboys. Like I said, no explosiveness from the Cowboys really hurts that offense. You really don't have anybody that can just, take the top off the defense. So I'm rolling with the Niners. Sucks that I'm not getting -3, but 3.5, I'll take it. Let's go Niners.
By the hook, Papa. By the hook.
I mean, for the purpose of the show, I'm just doing 3.5. I probably would buy the hook, but I think that they can cover. I think that they win by at least a touchdown.
All right. I like your picks. I might have the Texans in a play. Once I get off this podcast, I do like the Texans today against the Falcons. My picks kind of got to hold my nose on a lot of these, not going to lie, but I like the Titans -2.5 against the Pay. It's been working. My last couple of plays on the pot have been good, and it's been kind of hold your nose.
Eddie.
We'll see what happens.
This is when you know the guys are sharp, baby. This is when you know.
Titans -2.5. This is a definite hold your nose game. Titans, pass funnel defense. They're going to focus on stopping the run a little bit. They're going to force you to beat them with the pass, which you can. But I just don't know if Anthony Richardson at this stage in his career can do that, especially if they take away the run and make him pass first. So give me the Titans and Derrick Henry. He's owned the Colts as well. So I like Derrick Henry to get into the end zone as well. I know there's a little bit of juice on that anytime touchdown, but I do like Henry to score a touchdown today as well. Broncos, definitely holding my nose on this one. But again, I just don't think Zach Wilson is going to put together 2 good performances in a row. The Broncos, you can beat them on the pass. They're decent against the run, but the Broncos offense has actually been pretty good. I mean, I'm just going to say a lot of it's
I'm
been like
saying it,
garbage
baby.
time type stuff, and they really haven't been playing the best defenses. But from what I've been looking at statistically, it holds up. So I like the Broncos, especially at home. I think it's a do or die game for Sean Payton in his first year, especially all that crap that he talked over the summer.
They
Definitely
are
got to back
0-2
it
at
up.
home.
I
They are
know
0-2 at
I know
home
he
rolling.
can't lace him up and put that helmet on, but Payton, they got to win this game today.
Sure.
And then all time, hold my nose. Probably not going to watch this game because the only chance it has of cashing is the good old the backdoor special.
Backdoor
Is
special, baby.
Panthers plus
Ooh.
9.5. The Lions have a little bit of injuries. Panthers, they're 0-4, staring 0-5 at the face. Not saying they're going to win the game, but I can see them losing, by a good 16 points or something like that, and then they score a touchdown to come in at the end of the game, and they make it a 9-point game, and I cover. So that's the only angle that I'm looking at here. They're going to have to find a way to score. Maybe Detroit is a little off today with those injuries because Amon-Ra St. Brown, he is their chain mover. So we'll see what happens with him out of the game. Let's go Panthers, and I'll check back next week. Hopefully I don't go 0-3.
All right. Well, I'm going simply just a little money line parlay here. Baltimore and KC. The lines to me this week were either too short, where the game was too competitive and I couldn't pick a side, or they were too high, either 9 or 12. So I just said, I'm not gonna lie, I'm good for the week. DJ Moore made me some cash on Thursday. So hey, the bookie ain't taking any more of my money this week, dog. I'm cashing out. All right. I'm not risking any huge plays, but I do love everything that you guys just said. But give me Baltimore, give me the Ravens money line at Pittsburgh, and give me the Chiefs here. The Chiefs are going 325 on CBS if you guys want to check out the game against the Vikings. 2 teams that are on the road, the Chiefs and Baltimore. But I saw this line, guys, and I was like, Chiefs minus 3.5 against the Vikings. We all know how that Vikings defense is. They don't show up each and every week. The way that Kirk Cousins gets hit every week, dog, just hurts me watching it, bro. And what do you think the Chiefs are going to do to this poor guy? He's going to take more shots. Give me the Chiefs money line. Parlay it with the Baltimore. I think it's 120 plus 120. Call it a Sunday, and then we'll watch the Cowboys.
Confirmed, Roland. Ron's a Swiftie. Confirmed. Also, Joby will be live in Denver, Colorado for that Broncos game.
Nice.
So I'll text him and I'll tell him to give Wilson ojo before the game starts, Roland, so we can get that one home.
Hopefully. We'll see. We got one more slide, I think, but it's just
Survivor.
Run it.
Survivor talk.
Let me throw it
Where are you guys going this week in Survivor? Since we're all here, I already made my pick. I'm not going to change it.
You're not a flop. You're not a flip flopper, roll. You're like
I already got my pick.
First.
I already got my pick, and I talked about it on the last slide. I have the Lions. I think that's my safest pick at this point. I like the Lions against the Panthers at home. I don't see them blowing the game in Detroit, and I think their defense is probably going to control it. I think they're safe here, so we'll see.
I'll transition myself because it was either 2 teams for me. It was either the Lions or the Dolphins, but I couldn't trust the Lions with all the injuries, so I went with Miami, dog. If Miami fucking loses at home, bro, on like a 12-point spread to the Giants, who we saw get absolutely destroyed by the Seahawks, no running game, no passing game. Daniel Jones was looking like a JV quarterback out there. And the Dolphins, man, do not do me wrong on my Survivor pick. The Dolphins are my Survivor pick for the week.
Yeah. I mean.
What's that smile for?
Because I don't want you to flip-flop, Ron. You're the type that will go and change your pick.
Never.
You're the type that
hey, I already put it out there into the world that I took the Dolphins. I can't change now. The receipt will be here.
So like you said, there was 2 teams to look at. It was the Dolphins and the Lions, right? Yeah. So I dug into the schedule a little bit.
Woo!
And the Dolphins play the Panthers next week.
Okay.
So why am I going to take the Dolphins this week when I could take them next week against the Panthers? So I said I'm going to take the Lions because they're playing the Panthers, and the Panthers suck. Before all the injury news, of course, this was before all the injury news. I went back, I looked at the line. The line hasn't moved too much. They're still -9, -8.5. I'm sticking with the Lions with the plan of going with the Dolphins next week when they play Carolina. And I still got, the Bills, the Niners, the Eagles. I still got all those teams available. So I'm here trying to pick up these wins with these teams like the Lions, the Chargers last week. But yeah, my plan is Lions this week, Dolphins next week. We're fading the Panthers.
Yeah, man. So I need a I need a Motor City meltdown, baby.
Oh, shit. You already coined it. I like it. Yeah, I was gonna say even if you don't take the Dolphins,
to the Seahawks in week 2.
Yeah, the Dolphins got some games against the Jets too in the future, so they got some good future value. But the Dolphins were the team to look at as well. So yeah, I like that
pick. They're the safest pick.
I like that pick.
Safest pick. So we have people remaining. Nobody lost last week. So props to everybody for not losing last week. There's still 14 people on a $760 pot. Good luck to everybody playing. Last couple things here. Fawn said best bets for him are Cowboys money line, which is at plus money, and then the Falcons -2.5. So
okay, so he likes the Falcons.
Bro, no, he's a Texans hater and he loves the Cowboys. That's all that is.
He loves Bijan. He loves Bijan.
The best bet for today is the Astros on the money line, baby. That's the best bet for today. With Jordan in the zone. Dude, let's go.
Let's just leave. Let's do 2 minutes on last week, on yesterday's 4 games on the MLB slate. Dodgers got absolutely fucking out of their own building, bro. They got rocked. Kershaw gave up 6 runs. He lasted 1 out. I've never seen a pitcher last 1 out in the playoff game. That was insane. They ended up losing like 10-0 or something. Ben, Roland, you guys teams won. What's the future status for MLB for you guys? Any picks?
Just riding the Astros. Just hopefully they keep on winning and make it back.
Yeah, it was really nice to get Justin Verlander back mid-season because, look, he ended up starting game 1 of the playoffs for us at 41 years old, however old he was. I always thought it was a mistake of letting him walk to the Mets. It ended up working out to where they paid some of his salary, and now we got him, for a lot less money. But, man, I'm glad Verlander's back. We've got a shot because we have Verlander and Framber. Framber's going today against Pedro Lopez for the Twins. Lopez has also been a really good pitcher, but what I will say, Roland, I was surprised to see the fans booing Carlos Correa. I thought that we still had some love for Correa.
And I think we still do have love for him. It's just, he's the enemy right now.
He's the playoffs. It's not the regular season.
Yeah, it's not the regular season. It's the playoffs. This is do or die, win or go home type stuff. So, kind of got to leave all that, at the entrance. Once you walk into the stadium, Carlos Correa, you're not a former Astro. You're on the Twins. So, hey, you got Fonz to agree with you.
Fonz, if there's one thing in the world, baby, that we'll agree on, at least it's the Astros.
It's funny because I wear a lot of caps, all the time, and I was wearing an Orioles cap yesterday, and some dude, came up to me in Walmart and told me good luck, and I didn't, tell him the whole story that I'm an Astros fan, but this thing is funny. I'd wear a lot of different caps, no affiliation, so. I love it. But go Astros.
I love it. All right, man. That's it. It was a great week 5. Again, the interaction was super good, man. We saw some new faces. We saw some old faces. Appreciate all the love each and every single week. The shares on Facebook, the likes on Instagram. I mean, we really, really appreciate it, man. We're 5 weeks deep in the NFL season. MLB playoffs are hot. We haven't done an MLB show, so maybe we can do an MLB show this week. Tuesday's waiver wire. Sundays here for the pregame show. And that's it for me, man. It's 11:15, 45 minutes to tinker with the fantasy lineups or put in those last-minute bets. Anything y'all want to say, boys, before we head out?
No, just the Bills are about to lose. So.
Yep, that's what it looks like unless we hold for a field goal year and some mamada happens. Hey. But I'm glad we're about to end the show so we can watch this ending.
A Survivor pick. Who do you think picked the Bills on Survivor pick?
I think that we might have.
We might have a couple else.
A Bills Survivor pick. I think we might have one.
Ooh, let's check it out. All right. See y'all later. Thanks. Enjoy your Sunday.